"You're fired. Consider it my gift to you." The words glowed on my phone screen like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. I stood in the church vestibule, still in my wedding dress, heels pinching, bouquet wilting slightly in my hand. Voices drifted in from the sanctuary, joyful, celebratory, unaware. Moments earlier, I'd said, "I do," to the man I loved. Now, as rose petals fluttered in slow motion outside the stained glass doors, I stared at a text message that turned my stomach to ash. Kendall Parker, my boss's son. The same smug bastard who made my work life hell for 3 months. He chose this day, my wedding day, to strip me of my job. My fingers trembled as I turned the screen toward Jamal, my brand new husband, still glowing from the ceremony. His eyes scanned the message. Instead of outrage, a smile, calm, deliberate, pulled at the corner of his mouth. He took my shaking hands, kissed them slowly, then leaned close. "Check your messages later, baby," he whispered. "Today's not about them. Today's ours." I should have panicked, but something in Jamal's eyes made me pause. He knew something I didn't, and that's where everything began to unravel. 3 hours later, we swayed under dimmed lights for our first dance. My dress whispered across the polished wood floor, his hands warm against my waist. For the first time that day, I felt calm. Then Nia, my maid of honor, rushed across the ballroom, eyes wide, breathless. "Waverly, your phone. It won't stop ringing." Confused, I followed her to the corner where she handed it over. My heart stopped. 108 missed calls. Most from the office. Some from coworkers. 17 from a number I knew by heart. Gregory Parker, Kendall's father. The man who had built Parker and Associates from the ground up. I pressed play on the first voicemail. His voice, usually commanding, now cracked with urgency. "Waverly, it's Gregory. Call me immediately. Kendall had no authority to terminate you. This is a disaster. Please, I need you." Each message grew more frantic. In the last, he nearly begged. "The downtown development is falling apart. No one can access your system. We can't move forward without you." I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, veil slipping from my hair. This wasn't just about being fired. This was war. Before I tell you how it all spiraled, you need to know who I am. My name is Waverly James. Until that text, I was the pulse of Parker and Associates. I'm the type who color codes groceries, who can spot a mistake in blueprints from across the room. My coworkers called me the archive because I remembered everything, clients, codes, budgets, deadlines, without needing notes. I wasn't born into privilege. My parents were school teachers who valued grit over excuses. When my dad had a stroke my freshman year of college, I nearly dropped out to help mom. Instead, I doubled my course load, worked nights at a print shop, and graduated top of my class in architectural project management. 2 years ago, Gregory Parker hired me to modernize their chaotic system. I built a program from scratch that tracked every permit, blueprint, and change order. Deadlines shortened. Clients raved. The company thrived. Gregory called me his best investment. Then his son arrived. Kendall Parker, 32 years old, handsome in a cold, empty way, became my direct supervisor. Unlike his father, he had no vision, no discipline. He cut me out of meetings, claimed my ideas, canceled my training sessions. He was insecure, dangerous. And I had no idea just how far he'd go. It was during those tense months under Kendall's shadow that I met Jamal. He worked at the city's permit office, a man who actually cared about details others rushed through. Where most clerks rubber stamp submissions, he read every page. I'd gone there to submit Crescent's largest project yet, a massive downtown revitalization worth millions. Jamal's calm voice and careful manner cut through the storm of my work life. First, we bonded over blueprint discussions. Then coffee breaks. Then long dinners where laughter felt like oxygen. In him, I found peace. Safety. A man who saw me, not my title, not my workload, just me. But Jamal had been noticing troubling things. Some of the plans Kendall submitted didn't match what our engineers had approved. Safety features erased. Materials swapped for cheaper, weaker alternatives. The kind of shortcuts that could collapse a building or ruin lives. Jamal never accused me. He simply observed, documented, waited. 2 months later, he proposed. We planned quickly, partly because neither of us needed a spectacle, partly because I sensed Kendall circling, waiting. He kept talking about restructuring. I didn't know he'd strike on my wedding day. But Jamal? Somehow, he already suspected. Back in the bridal suite, I listened to every voicemail from Gregory Parker. His voice shook with desperation. Waverly, the West Side Project team is threatening to walk. No one can find the updated renderings. Kendall thought he had your password, but it's useless. Please, we're at a standstill. By the 7th message, I was no longer shaking. I was smiling. Because for the first time, I realized I had all the power. For 2 years, I'd built a system so seamless to me it felt like second nature, but without my guidance, impossible for anyone else. Kendall had sabotaged every training I tried to run. Now, he trapped his father's entire company in a cage only I could unlock. I sank onto the velvet couch, my dress pooling around me like clouds, my heart no longer heavy but sharp. Jamal slipped in quietly. You heard the messages? I nodded. He sat beside me, lowered his voice. There's more. The changes Kendall's been sneaking through? I've been collecting proof. Safety codes ignored. Corners cut. It's not just shady, it's dangerous. My breath caught. This wasn't the end of my career. It was the start of their reckoning. Jamal touched my hand gently, grounding me. I was going to report Kendall next week, he admitted, but now maybe this is a chance. He tried to erase you, but he only erased himself. I stared at my phone, dozens of missed calls stacking higher every hour. Gregory, coworkers, even clients. Desperation painted across my screen. What do we do? I whispered. Nothing, Jamal said, smiling softly. Not today. Today we dance. Tomorrow we leave for Belize, and when we come back, he kissed my forehead. We'll decide how to reshape everything. So I tucked my phone away. I returned to the reception, and I danced as if nothing in the world could touch me. By midnight, I had 212 missed calls. On our honeymoon, while waves kissed the shore and coconuts chilled in our hands, the calls kept coming. Gregory's voicemails shifted from urgent to pleading. On the 3rd day, he offered to triple my salary. 2 days later, he dangled partial ownership. Each time, I hit delete. Because this wasn't about money. It was about respect. And finally, I had the chance to claim mine. On our last night in Belize, Jamal and I sat on the sand, sunset, painting the ocean gold. You could go back, he said carefully. Take their offers, demand more. I shook my head. It's not about titles or checks. They only see me now because they're desperate. I want to be seen because I matter, not because they can't function without me. He nodded, then said, There's an opening with the city planning department's consulting team. They need someone who understands both sides, the firm submitting and the regulators reviewing. Someone who can build a system to catch fraud like Kendall's before it slips through. His words lit something inside me. Are you saying... I'm saying maybe it's time you start your own firm. First client, the city. First mission, making sure people like Kendall can't put lives at risk. The idea took root immediately. By the time we flew home, I was sketching out business plans on my tablet. 3 days later, I registered Precision Protocol Consulting. Minutes after it became official, my phone rang. Gregory Parker. For the first time in 2 weeks, I answered. Waverly, name your price. Gregory's voice was worn, stripped of its usual authority. The downtown project is collapsing. Clients are furious. Please, we'll pay whatever it takes. I inhaled slowly. I'm not available for employment anymore, Gregory. I've started my own consulting firm. He rushed in, desperate. Then we'll hire your firm. Whatever you're charging, we'll pay it. Not possible. My voice stayed calm, cold. My first client is the city planning department. I'm redesigning the verification system for building submissions. The silence on the line was deafening. Then, a sharp inhale. He understood. If I was helping the city implement new oversight, Every fraudulent change Kendall made would surface. Waverly, please. Kendall was jealous, insecure. He saw your brilliance as a threat. Don't let his immaturity cost us all. I closed my eyes, remembering the arrogance in Kendall's smile, the text that had nearly shattered me. Some mistakes can't be undone, Gregory. Some bridges stay burned. I hung up before he could answer. Jamal was standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Feel good? He asked. A slow smile curled my lips. It feels like justice. But deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The following week, I began my city contract. With my insider knowledge, I mapped every loophole firms like Parker and Associates used to sneak by inspectors. I created protocols that flagged last-minute changes, exposed falsified signatures, and required triple verification on safety modifications. The city launched an immediate audit. And just as Jamal predicted, the violations were everywhere, especially in Kendall's submissions. Load-bearing walls cut thinner. Fire exits reduced. Foundation materials swapped for cheaper composites. It was a bomb waiting to explode. The city halted the downtown project entirely. Contracts were reassigned to a rival firm. Kendall wasn't just fired. He was blacklisted. His license suspended pending review. Parker and Associates lost millions. Their 30-year reputation crumbled in 30 days. Through whispers in the industry, I heard Gregory collapsed from stress, a minor heart attack. Oddly, it brought me no joy. Gregory had once been a true mentor before his blind spot for Kendall blinded him completely. But my firm? Precision Protocols soared. 3 more municipal contracts within 6 months. I hired staff, expanded, built something of my own. And every time the phone rang with another desperate firm begging for help, I remembered one thing. I no longer needed them. 1 year to the day after my wedding, a thick cream envelope appeared on my desk. Inside was a handwritten letter. Dear Waverly, some debts can never be repaid, but acknowledgement is the beginning of atonement. Over the past year, we have rebuilt from the ruins of our own making. Kendall has completed an ethics program and works now in a junior role under strict supervision. Our systems have been overhauled. Our leadership reshaped. We are a different company. I ask not for your return. That bridge, I know, is ash. But I ask if you will consider meeting, not for employment, but to review our reforms, to ensure we never fail the public again. Whether you accept or decline, know this. My respect for you has only grown. You were right to stand firm, right to protect the public, right to demand better. With regret and admiration, Gregory Parker. I read it twice, my throat tight. When I showed Jamal that evening, he asked softly, "What would be your reason to go? Closure? Curiosity? Vindication?" "All of the above," I admitted. He nodded. "Then maybe you already know your answer." And so I agreed. But stepping back into that building, it felt like walking into a lion's den. When I entered Parker and Associates again, everything felt unfamiliar. New faces at desks. Updated screens. Energy different from the brittle arrogance I'd left behind. The receptionist greeted me politely. "Miss James, Mr. Parker is waiting in the conference room." Inside, Gregory rose to greet me. But my stomach dropped when I saw who sat beside him, Kendall. His posture was stiff, his eyes glued to the table. "Waverly, thank you for coming," Gregory said, extending a hand. Stress had carved deep lines into his face. I shook it, then sat across from them. Gregory gestured toward his son. "Kendall has something to say." Slowly, Kendall looked up. The arrogance I once despised was gone. His eyes held something startling, humility. "I owe you an apology," he said, voice unsteady. "What I did was unprofessional, vindictive, and dangerous. There's no excuse." His words felt rehearsed, but the shame coloring his face was real. "Apology noted," I said flatly. Gregory cleared his throat, sliding a folder across the table. "We've rebuilt from the ground up. New safety measures. New leadership. Kendall is no longer in management." I opened the folder. The reforms were thorough. But then Kendall stood. There's something else. And everything shifted again. Kendall left the room briefly, then returned carrying an envelope and a small USB drive. He placed them in front of me with trembling hands. Inside the envelope was a check. The exact cost of my wedding, down to the penny. My eyes narrowed. How did you even know this number? Gregory hesitated. Your wedding planner was my cousin's friend. I asked. I wanted it exact. Kendall spoke up, voice steadier now. Consider it the gift I claimed to give you when I fired you that day. The gift I never had the right to give. Rage flared hot in my chest. Did they truly think money erased betrayal? Then Kendall slid the USB drive forward. And this belongs to you. It's your system, the one I sabotaged, the one that crumbled when you left. We never managed to replicate it. It's yours to keep or destroy. I stared at the tiny drive. 2 years of my blood and sweat, reduced to plastic and circuits. And in that moment I realized, revenge doesn't always come by your own hand. Sometimes it arrives naturally, carried on the weight of someone else's downfall. Still, I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. I stood, sliding the folder closed. I'll review your proposals, I said coolly. But my fee will be triple your offer, paid up front. My team gets full access, full transparency. Gregory nodded instantly. Agreed. And one more condition, I added, turning to Kendall. You will complete every training module my firm assigns. No shortcuts. No excuses. You'll learn ethical submissions, project management, safety compliance, everything you tried to sabotage. You'll become the example you once mocked. Color drained from Kendall's face, but he nodded. Yes, I understand. Satisfied, I gathered my things. And Gregory? I said, pausing at the door. The check? Keep it. Seeing your son learn integrity will be gift enough. I left them sitting there, stunned. That night over dinner, Jamal asked, do you trust them? No, I admitted. But trust isn't required. Control is. Yet, as fate would have it, a new twist was already waiting. A news alert flashed on my phone. Parker's rival, the firm that took the downtown project, was under investigation for bribery and design fraud. If they fell, the project would stall again. And Gregory had known. Which meant I wasn't just being courted. I was being used. The revelation hit hard. Gregory hadn't reached out from remorse. He needed me positioned to swoop in when his rival collapsed. I felt sick. What will you do? Jamal asked gently as I set my phone down. Sleep on it, I muttered. But sleep never came. I replayed every word, every look. Was Kendall's apology genuine? Or just another performance? Was Gregory truly reformed, or just desperate to reclaim power? By sunrise, my decision was clear. At 7 a.m., I called Gregory. I'm not interested in consulting, I told him. Silence. Then, I understand. But I am interested in partnership, I continued. Precision Protocol oversees compliance and project management. Parker and Associates handles design. We present as equals, not employer and employee. That way, I maintain independence and ensure standards are never compromised again. Gregory sounded stunned. That's highly unusual. So, is firing someone on her wedding day? I countered. Take it or leave it. After a pause, he said, I'll need to consult the board. You have 24 hours, I replied. Otherwise, I'll propose the city give the downtown project to me directly. I hung up, pull steady. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was dictating. Exactly 23 hours later, Gregory called back. The board approved, he said. 3-year commitment. 2 years guaranteed. 1 optional extension. Agreed performance metrics. Done, I replied. 2 weeks later, when their rival firm was officially stripped of the downtown contract, our joint proposal was ready. It combined Parker's design team with my firm's airtight oversight protocols. The city awarded us the project unanimously. The press hailed it as revolutionary, a new model of accountability in architecture. And Kendall? He was assigned as junior coordinator, 5 levels below his old role. Every day, my team sent him training modules. Every night, he completed tests. Fail, and he repeated. To my surprise, he didn't complain. He worked hard, asked questions, learned. 3 months in, I found him at the construction site before sunrise, clipboard in hand, checking foundation pours. You don't need to be here, I said. That's the engineer's job. I know, he admitted, but if I'm going to learn, I need to see it all. His posture was humbler, his tone honest, and when I asked, why fire me on my wedding day, his answer chilled me. Because I knew you were right, and I couldn't stand it. For the first time, Kendall's words sounded genuine. I thought hurting you then would make me feel powerful, he admitted quietly. But instead, everything crumbled. The system, the projects, my father's trust. I destroyed what could have been the best mentorship I'd ever have. I studied him carefully. The arrogance was gone. What remained was raw regret. You can't undo the past, I said. But maybe you can earn something new. Not through words, but through work. Hope flickered in his eyes. I'll prove it. And over the months, he did. When Gregory floated the idea of promoting Kendall, he sent Raina, my former assistant, to gauge my reaction. He's earned respect, she said. The team trusts him. His reports are spotless. But Gregory wants your blessing. I thought long before answering. He can be promoted, on one condition. He must handle the upcoming community presentation alone. Let's see how he performs when facing the people this project truly affects. The presentation drew a packed crowd of wary residents. I sat hidden in the back as Kendall took the podium. His hands shook. His voice cracked. Then, to my shock, he began with the truth. I failed you once, he confessed. But this time I won't. The room went still as Kendall laid his mistakes bare. I took shortcuts, he admitted. Ignored safety. Put pride above people. And I can't erase that. But today, I stand before you accountable. Every step of this project is triple verified by precision protocol. Nothing slips through unchecked. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Honesty wasn't expected. Yet as he walked through the updated plans, highlighting community-driven changes, the skepticism began to thaw. When he didn't know an answer, he said so plainly and promised to follow up personally. By the end, the hostility had shifted to cautious trust. Residents approached him afterward, not with accusations but questions. And he stayed, answering each with patience. I slipped out before he saw me, but I'd seen enough. The next day, I told Gregory. He did well. I support the promotion. Relief flooded his voice. Thank you, Waverly. Your word means everything. Just remember, I warned. Trust is rebuilt in pieces. One good night doesn't erase the past. Later, I stood by my office window, gazing at cranes dotting the skyline. This wasn't revenge the way I once imagined. It was something deeper. A reconstruction, not just of buildings but of people. Months passed. The project neared completion, ahead of schedule, under budget. My consulting firm expanded to 15 employees, contracts pouring in from across the country. One evening, Jamal and I strolled past the construction site. The sunset lit the rising towers in gold. Workers bustled. Residents watched with pride, the community finally seeing progress long promised. Are you happy? Jamal asked softly. I thought about the girl clutching her phone in a wedding dress, blindsided by betrayal. I'm satisfied, I said. Not because they suffered, but because change happened. Real, lasting change. The buildings are safer. The company's stronger. The community gets what it deserves. And Kendall, I paused. He's becoming someone worthy of his role. My phone buzzed. A text from Kendall. Thank you for supporting my promotion. I won't let you down. I showed it to Jamal, who raised an eyebrow. You gonna reply? I typed slowly. Make sure you don't. Some gifts can't be returned. I hit send. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. 1 year after he'd tried to break me with a text, I answered with one of my own. True power isn't destruction. It's choosing not to destroy when you could. And in that, I'd already won.